Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Pray First, a conversation we have Monday through Friday right here on the Pastor Doug page. It's so good to be with all of you guys. Today on this December, what is today? The 29th, 2021. Hashtag live if you're joining us live, hashtag recorded if you're joining recorded, hashtag shared. If you will put this out on your pages, I would greatly appreciate that. I can't wait to talk to you guys today about 5 things I hope for you in 2022. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Patty. Good morning, Michelle. Hit the hearts, hit the lights, go crazy on those, and let all of our first-time guests know that we are extremely glad that they are here. I hope everybody had a good Christmas, getting ready for a good new year, 2022. Can you believe that 2020 passed? I can't even believe 2020 passed. And now 2021 passed, and we're moving into 2022. It's mind-blowing. Good morning, Rita Smith. Good morning, Brenda. Good morning, Daryl. Good morning, Barbie. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. Good morning, Audra, Lana. The names are going by so quickly, I can't say hello to everyone. So make sure you're hitting those hearts, hitting those likes, and letting everybody know we're glad they're here. First-time guest, we really appreciate you being here. Good morning, Nita Kay. Good morning, Laura Guthrie. So good to see you. Good morning, Tasha. Come on, if you can share this, go ahead and share this out on your page. Good morning, Eitri. Good morning. Where's everybody from? Everybody, just put a little right out to the side. Where are you from? You don't have to give us your address or anything. Just kind of tell us what state, what country are you from. Good morning, Stacy Matlock. Good morning, Ricky Fuller. I want to go over a little bit of the message from Sunday. I've got notes spread everywhere right now. I want to go a little bit over the message from Cross Point Church. That's the church that I pastor, that we had this past Sunday. But I also want to tie it in with the teaching that we've been discussing concerning the staff that Moses held up in the wilderness, the staff that he threw on the ground and become a serpent that consumed the other serpents, the staff that parted the Red Sea through the power of the Holy Spirit, obviously, the staff that he strikes the rock and water comes forth, representing the cross striking Christ and water coming forth, the staff that, one of the 12 staffs that they sent into the Holy of Holies, and one of them sprouted, bloomed, and produced fruit. You remember all this we talked about? We're going to continue on that theme just a little bit, and it's going to tie in with one of my hopes for you. So the staff is a bridge. I want everybody to hashtag bridge. The staff, Christ. The staff represents Christ. I want you to remember that Aaron was sent to stand between the living and the dead. I want you to know that Christ stands between the living and the dead. We've been talking about the Garden of Eden. We've been talking about the tree of life and contrasting it with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you've missed all of these teachings can be found on YouTube at the Pray First Pastor Doug Bell channel, and you can catch back up. But there's something that I hope you're not missing here between the tree of life, which is Jesus, the staff that sprouted and produced fruit. The staff was placed in the place of the dead. The staff was a cut-off piece of tree. The staff was a dead piece of tree. It produced fruit. It was representing that the root of Jesse, the stump, the dead representation would rise again, and his name would be Jesus. But with purpose. And it goes back to the 2 trees. The tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life brought life. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil brought death. You and I chose the wrong tree through Adam and Eve. But the thing I think we may be missing now is, though we have accepted Christ and He has saved our spirit, your spirit is saved. You're a 3-part being. Your body is still dying. So your body, your soul, and your spirit. And your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. Your mind, your will, and emotions still messed up. We're messed up, folk. Okay? Our mind, our will, our emotion, the ways that we think, the things that we want, and how we feel. Our mind, our will, and our emotions. Still very broken in our soul. So these three parts, the Bible talks about a part of you that is saved. The Bible talks about a part of you that is being saved and a part of you that will be saved. When you accept the tree of life, when you accept Jesus Christ, that root of Jesse, that staff, that one that sprouts and produces fruit, he saved your spirit. Matter of fact, he resurrected your dead spirit. Your spirit was dead. You were born with a dead spirit. He resurrected that spirit. Your soul is being saved through a process. Everybody loves processes, don't you? And your body will be saved. He's going to give you a new one. He's going to give you a new body one day. But our soul, come on, let's take it back to our soul for a minute. We still have the ability and the tendency, and by default, our soul still consumes the tree of the knowledge of good and evil today. Right now. Our structures are built on the knowledge of good and evil. Our traditions are built on the structures of good and evil. Our faith, the church, the way we witness to people is built on the structure of the knowledge of good and evil. Even our most time-honored traditions, such as Santa Claus, is built on the knowledge of good and evil, naughty or nice. Today I want to take us a little further as I talk about the five, and you can partake of that tree of the knowledge of good and evil and think you're doing good because there is a way that seems right to man. There's a way that seems good to man. But in the end, it actually produces death. There's a way that seems right because now you feel like since you have a knowledge of good, that you have the power to do good. And since you have a knowledge of evil, you have the strength to avoid it. And neither are true. So let's look at John chapter 1, verse 47 through 49. One of my wishes for you this year. And I'm going to go ahead and just give you this. I know many of you have the notes from Sunday. If you are part of our Crosspoint Church on the weekend, I want you to either write blocker, B-L-O-C-K-E-R, if you're in-house, or I want you to write online. If you watch online the weekend services, please everybody do that. I just kind of never know who is Pray First only or who follows Crosspoint, the church, and that's not the same thing. Crosspoint and Pray First is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So either put blocker or put online if you watch or if you're part of our church on the weekend. Jesus is about to select another disciple. He is contrasting the old covenant with the new covenant. And this has to do with you. My number one wish for you this year is that you become a disciple. And this is how you're going to do it. My wish for you in 2022 is that you would accept an opportunity that will require a courageous act or obedience that will cost you something. That you accept an opportunity this year that will require a courageous act or obedience that will cost you something. My wish for you, and I know this would not be your wish for yourself. No one wants to have courage. It's nice to have in the face of adversity or in the face of tension or in the face of the unknown to have courage. But no one is wishing that they would have a reason to need courage. And I'm wishing that you will have a reason to need courage in 2022 and that you will accept that opportunity. Also that you will enact an act of obedience that even before you do it, you know it's going to cost you something, but you're not sure what it's going to cost. John chapter 1, verse 40 through 51, Jesus is calling the disciple Nathanael. Now, Nathanael is known as Bartholomew everywhere else except for this interaction. It's the same guy. Nathanael and Bartholomew, the same guy. Jesus is calling this man to come follow him. 1 John chapter 1, verse 40. One of the two who heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first found his own brother Simon and said to him, "We have found the Messiah," which is translated the Christ. And he brought him to Jesus. If you remember, one of my other hopes for you is that you will be a part of someone's salvation story, but we'll talk about that much later. When Jesus looked at him, he said, "You are Simon, the son of Jonah. You shall be called Cephas," which is translated a stone. Generally, when God changes someone's name, it's because he's changed their path, their direction. They were known by who they were told they were. Jesus was defining who they are. A lot of you are defined by who you were told you are. A lot of you have been defined by things you've done in the past, who you think you are. And then there's God who knows who you're created to be. The following day, Jesus wanted to go to Galilee, and he found Philip and said to him, "Hey, Philip, come follow me." I want you to notice that Jesus always asks disciples to follow him. Not to learn about him, not to memorize him, not to quote him, but to come with me and do what I do. Follow me. Now, Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote about, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." And Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Because, again, Nathanael knew that the people from Nazareth were defined by where they were from. Some of you have been defined by where you're from. The wrong side of the track. Uneducated. A lack of opportunity. Or maybe you're from the right side of the track. Educated. So many opportunities. But it's not who you are. But you think that's who you are. You've decided that your education makes you who you are. Your opportunities makes you who you are. Your station in life makes you who you are. But that's not the case. Nathanael says about the Christ, "Can anything good possibly come out of Nazareth?" And Philip said, "Hey, well, just come and see. Come and see." And Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said, so remember, Jesus sent Philip for Nathanael. Jesus didn't see Nathanael. He sent Philip for Nathanael. He sees Nathanael coming towards him and said, "Behold, an Israelite." Jesus starts defining him by where he's come from. But he also defines him so you and I will know who Nathanael is. Nathanael's an Israelite. Behold, an Israelite. And then he says something remarkable. "In whom there is no deceit." In other words, Nathanael, you're an Israelite. You're a son of Israel. You're a son of Jacob. Jacob means deceitful. You're a son of deceitful. Jacob deceived everybody. That old covenant was so deceitful, it was so entrenched in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that if you washed your hands, you were good. But if you didn't, you were evil. If you followed the rules, you were good. If you didn't, you were evil. If you did what you were supposed to, you were blessed. If you didn't, you were cursed. Jesus defines Nathanael. Here comes Nathanael, an Israelite, a son of Jacob, a son of deceit. You've been deceived. What did Lucifer do to Adam and Eve? He didn't just outright lie to them. He deceived them. When you and I are a continual partaker of, or a frequent visitor to, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we're deceived. We think we're right. because we think since we have the power to know good, that we have the power to do good, and that if we have the strength or the knowledge to know evil, that we have the strength to avoid it. So we think we're okay, but we're deceived. He said, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, whom there is no deceit." You're a son of Israel. You're a son of Jacob. Now, not only does Jacob mean deceit, the word Israel itself means one who battles with God. So, Nathaniel, you're a product of your culture. You're a product of your upbringing. You're a product of your family. But there's something different about you. Nathaniel, you're an Israelite. You're a son of the ones who battle with God. Nathaniel, you're a Jacobite. You're a son of Jacob, one who is deceived from understanding God. But there's something different about you. And Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" What? Jesus from Nazareth, how do you know me? And Jesus said to Nathanael, before Philip called you to say, "Hey, the Messiah wants to meet you," before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. Everybody hashtag under fig tree. How do you know me, Jesus? How do you know so much about me? How do you know so much about my heritage? How do you know so much about where I come from? How do you know so much about my family? How do you know so much about my upbringing? How do you know so much about my privilege? Or how do you know so much about my plight? How do you know so much about how I think? How do you know so much about how I feel? How do you know me, Jesus? You're from Nazareth. And Jesus' answer to how do you know me? How do you know how I feel? How do you know my family? How do you know what I'm thinking? Jesus' answer was, "I saw you under a fig tree." And Nathanael said to him, "Woo! Rabbi, you are the Son of God." That's incredible. You saw me under a tree? That explains everything. Had you just told me that. Listen, Nathanael knew that Jesus spoke to Moses in a burning bush. Nathanael knew that he parted the Red Sea. Nathanael knew that they had seen many miracles. But Nathanael, the only one Nathanael needed to hear is, "I saw you under a fig tree." What? Who cares that you saw me under a fig tree? You saw me sitting in the shade on a hot day? Wow, you're probably a prophet. You're probably the Son of God. Why did Nathanael have this reaction to Jesus? How did, knowing it, he just defined him because he was from Nazareth. Nothing good could come from Nazareth. He just said that just a second ago, just a sentence ago, just a verse ago. But now you seen me under a tree. You're the Messiah. Rabbi, you're the Son of God. It had nothing to do with Jesus physically seeing him sitting under a tree. That may or may not have ever happened. What he was telling Nathanael is, "I know you're not a son of deceitfulness. I know that you are one who sits under authority," which is what a fig tree stands for. "I know that though you come from a family of deception, though you come from a family who's defined by culture, you come from a family that's defined by deceit, you come from a family that partakes from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, though you come from a family," this had nothing to do with "I saw you sitting under a tree." Jesus was contrasting Nathanael with Jacob. He said, "You're an Israelite, but listen to me, you're not defined by where you came from. You're an Israelite, but you're not defined by who your daddy is. Listen, you're from Israel, but you're not defined by your country or your nation. I saw you under a fig tree. And immediately Nathanael thought back to Micah chapter 3, Zechariah chapter 3, 1 Kings chapter 4, where it talks about the Israelites who follow and trust in and obey God. They sit in the shade of the fig tree and learn. They're not defined by where they came from. They're not defined by deceit. They're not partakers of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They sit under the fig tree, the authority of Jesus Christ. They sit there and they learn. There's protection there. There's provision there. There's authority there. Nathanael, Jesus didn't say, I saw you sitting under a stump. Jesus said, I saw you sitting in the shade. And every time you sat in the shade of the fig tree, under the umbrella and under the shadow of the wing of the Almighty, I was there, Nathanael. I know you. I heard you sing. I heard you cry. I heard you pray. I heard you wonder, Nathanael, I'm the Son of God, and I'm your daddy. He didn't find him sitting under a physical fig tree. He found him sitting under the rod, the staff. He found him under a bridge. As we go from 2021 to 2022, my hope for you is that the Messiah will tell you who you are and show you whose you are. And that you would accept an opportunity that's going to require great courage. And that you would accept an opportunity that's going to cost you obedience. You're going to say yes, but you're not going to know what that yes is going to bring. Listen, you don't know what's on the other side of your decision to follow Christ. You don't know what and you don't know who is on the other side of the decisions you make to obey. Let's read the rest of this, then I got to pray you out of here. Jesus answered and said to him, after he said, Rabbi, you're the Son of God, you're the King of Israel. Jesus answered and said to him, because I said to you, I saw you under a fig tree? You believe? Nathanael, greater things than these will you see, buddy. Greater things than these will you see, friend. Nathanael, greater things will you see, son. Because not only will you live with a dream, you remember your daddy's dream, Jacob's ladder? Do you remember when Jacob laid down and had a dream and he thought he saw angels ascending and descending from earth to heaven and heaven to earth on the ladder, on the branch, on the staff, on the rod, on the shoot? Nathanael, you're not just going to dream. He says, you will see greater things than these. And he said to him, most assuredly, I say to you hereafter, you won't just have a dream like your ancestor Jacob did. You shall see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. You're the kind of person, Nathanael, that I want to start my new covenant with. Not a person who partakes from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but fishermen, tax collectors, and yes, you. Whether you wash your hands or not, whether you know the feasts or not, whether you keep the Sabbath the way you think the Sabbath is supposed to be kept or not, you're the kind of man I'm looking for to keep the new covenant, and that is one who sits under the shadow of the Almighty. Jacob was full of deceit, but I don't see deceit in you. You sit under my authority. You won't just dream about what I'm going to do, Jesus says. You will be a part of what I'm going to do. Let me implore you that there is one thing that will keep you from walking in the purpose and the destiny God has for you, and it's your character. And your character is deeply rooted and seated in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But the closer you come to God, and the closer you sit under the shadow of the Almighty, and the closer you get to the fig tree of authority of Jesus Christ, you won't just live with a dream. You will see heaven come to earth. Father, right now in the name of Jesus, I pray for every person listening and every person watching that they not just dream. And they not be defined by who they were told they were or what they've done or what they have. But God, that you'd send Philip for us today. And that Philip would find us sitting with you. And that you would ask us to do things that's going to require great courage and an act of obedience that's going to cost us something. And that because we're not deceived, and because we're not trying to prove anything, but because we trust you, we pisteo you, we didn't just get saved, Jesus. We didn't just believeth in. We're followers. We're disciples. We're Nathaniel, not Jacob. In Jesus' name. And all God's people said, amen. I hope this makes sense. It makes sense inside of my head, but sometimes I can't get what's in my head into terminology to be able to articulate it. So I'll go back and watch this, and I'm sure I'll get something from it because I don't even know what I said, a whole lot of it. And I hope you can apply it to yourself. But Jacob had a dream. Jacob's dream was that he saw heaven and the angels were going up and down this ladder. Jesus is the ladder. And Nathaniel, you're a son of Jacob, but you're not going to dream about it. You're going to do it. And that's what I believe the bridge is from 2021 to 2022, that we're not just going to dream about it, whatever it is. We're actually the ones that get to do it. I love y'all. Have a great day. I know y'all saw my door. I can't even share about that because I can't talk about it. Whew. But maybe I can sometime. It just won't be this morning. But that door has some big spiritual implications. And the sign above the door that I didn't even see until Hallie Brown said, look at the sign above Pastor's door that he's getting out of the house he grew up in. It said that life will take you to unexpected places, but love will bring you home. That's where I was. That's where I am. And that's where I'm going. Home. Bye, guys.